We're going to start by changing the stitch length to 5. So that's this button here. You're going to watch it shoot up to the 5. And then we're going to use a seam allowance of 1/8, which is the inside of the toe. I'm going to line up my fabric. You can start with either side. We're going to do both sides, and I'm just going to sew down. We are not going to backstitch, so we're just sewing a nice straight line all the way down. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail. I'll cut it off later, but that's just going to keep the stitch in place for right now. And now I do the other side. So I have both sides sewn down at 1/8. I'm just going to speed that up for you. Again, leaving a little bit of a tail on the end. Should look like this. So it looks really nice and pretty. I'm now going to change my stitch length to 3. So I'm going to take it down to number 3. Okay, so just kind of get as close to that 3 as you can. We're using a 1/4 seam allowance, which is that little tick mark, or it's the side of your foot, basically. It's a little bit less, but it's basically the side of that foot. So I'm going to line up my fabric. This one, you can backstitch. You don't have to, but if you want to, I'll say you can. So if you go forward, hold that backward button, the reverse button, hit the pedal again, and it goes backward, release it, and it will go forward. And we go all the way to the end. Again, backstitch right there for us. And we're going to do the same thing on that other side. We're going to trim our threads, and then we go again, backstitch all the way down, and it looks something like this. So you got 2 rows now. Well, 4 rows, 2 on each side. Okay, it's looking nice. Now we're going to change it again, our stitch length again, to 2.5, which is that flashing line. So if you get it to the flashing line, you're in the right spot. We're using a 3/8 seam allowance. This one is labeled for you, so you can just find that on the stitch plate. Line that up, backstitch. We're going to go all the way down. This is called regulation stitch. This is just our normal stitching, is 2.5 seam or stitch length. Okay, it looks like that. So now I have 6 rows of stitching. It's looking really nice. Now we're going to go across next. So we're going to change this to stitch length 1. This is called reinforcement stitching, and we're going to use the 1/4 seam allowance again, like we did before. We're going to do that short end, 1/4, start at the very end, go across. We do not need to backstitch on this one because the stitching is so small. It should look like that. And then let's do the other side. And it looks something like this. Looks nice. Okay, now I'm ready to trim my thread. So grab your shears, and I just kind of pull them all out and then just chop them off. Make sure those end up in the trash, please. Cut off all the little hairy things that are little thready things hanging down. Want it to look nice and professional. Okay. So trim the other side, and it looks like that. Okay, and we're going to do one last stitch down the middle. So watch that next video to see that.